All right, guys. Welcome to CyberSecStudy CISSP Jeopardy. This is round number 11. Again, I'm kind of writing these things as we, well, I have all the questions, all the Jeopardy questions written already from the course material. But I haven't put everything into the Jeopardy format yet. I'm kind of writing that every week, or building those every week as we go. So we're at round 11. I'm estimating we'll get up to about round 15, 16, not as high as round 20, I don't think. And as soon as we hit round 20, we're going to start over with round 1 and go from there. So here we go. Round number 11.
This is Jeopardy!
And I see a new person, Malachi, that just jumped in. For you new folks, we're getting started now. Look for your chat. Look for the chat box. That is where you're going to type your responses. The first correct response I see, that person will get to make the next selection. So you'll have to unmute your microphone, speak your selection, then mute your microphone. When the question, the answer comes up on the Jeopardy board, you will select or type in the correct question. The first person, again, to type in the correct question will then unmute their microphone and make the next selection. So for this round, why is it showing round 10? I know I made that change. Let's go ahead and go through and see. Yeah, we do have the right round. I just didn't change that part. All right, so first domain is domain 1.12, security and risk management. Domain 3, security engineering. We finished domain 2, all the material in domain 2. That's a small domain. Domain 4, communications and network security. Domain 5, identity and access management. Domain 8, security and the system development lifecycle. So we finished domain 2, domain 6, domain 7, and we're at domain 8. And that leaves us with one more column to fill. So we are doing a second domain 1. We're calling that domain 1.13, security and risk management. There's a lot of material in domain 1 and domain 3. So those may be the last two standing once we get up to around the 15th round. Actually, yeah, no, I have not shared the correct screen yet. Give me just a second. So I'm seeing your comments while I'm talking, and let me know, guys, if you can now see the Jeopardy board. My audience view says you can. All right. So these are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 categories for round 11. Original Brit says you can only see partial screen. Yeah, we're trying this new GoToMeeting out, so it may be a delay. All right, Original Brit can see the whole thing. Yeah, there may be a bit of a delay. That's one thing I've noticed since we made the change. And George is saying you can use scale to fit, and I think you can find that in the is it webcam or screen? It might be screen. At any rate, let's play around with this thing and see how we can see what we can figure out. All right, we've got our original terminator on this call. So, Becky, the board's yours.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, let me see. Let's go for security and risk management. Thank you.
Security and risk management, which one? 1.12 or 1.13?
Oh, we got two of them there. Okay, 1.13 for 200.
All right, here we go. Again, once the answer comes up, you guys can make your selection, type it in immediately. I see a lot of stuff scrolling by a lot faster than I remember it on the other one. I have a correct response from Malachi. What is security awareness training? All right, so again, the primary objective of security awareness training is to get the people in the environment aware of the security policies in the organization and make sure they understand the importance of security. That's the main purpose of security awareness training. All right, Malachi, go ahead and unmute your microphone and make your selection.
Security and risk management for 400.
All right, we're going to stay with 1.13 for 400. I really need to make this chat window bigger. All right, I have a couple responses. And again, you guys can type. You don't have to type the whole thing as long as it's legible and I can tell the intent of what you're saying. The first response I got was from Malachi. Spear phishing, that is the correct response. Just phishing, but it is also referred to as spear phishing. All right. So Malachi, the board is yours again.
Security in the SDLC for 200.
8 for 200. Here we go. I have a response that's not correct. Actually, I have a couple of responses, but I can't tell if they were directed at this question or before. So I'm just going to go with the first one I see that's correct. And that was from George. Correct response is a Trojan. So a Trojan is a standalone malicious program which may give full control of an infected PC to another PC, and they're usually hidden in other benign programs. So when you open up one of those email jokes from a friend or family member, a Trojan could likely be the payload. All right, George, unmute your microphone and the board is yours.
All right, let's do domain 1.12 for 200.
Got it. Domain 1.12 for 200. First correct response comes from Original Brit. What are intangible assets? So intangible assets are not physical. They include things like business reputation, brand recognition, intellectual property. I'd imagine the folks at Target, once they had that breach, you know, all of the what they suffered from that breach wasn't just tangible in terms of you know, the hardware or the money that came along with that. Their reputation has taken a hit, and they're still feeling the effects of that long after the original breach. All right, original Brit, the board is yours.
Can we stay with the same category for 400, please?
Domain 1.12 for 400. First correct response comes from Clara, or should I say Becky the Terminator. Vulnerability assessment. A vulnerability assessment is used to help identify specific areas of weakness that need to be addressed. All right, Becky, the board is yours.
I'm going to go for the big one, 1,000 for domain 1.12.
1.12 for big money. All right, here we go. Yeah, the wording of this might throw you off a little bit. The principal vehicle used to verify that implementers and operators of information systems are meeting their stated security goals and objectives. Think of, yeah, see a response here that's close, but not quite. I have another one from George. If I don't get a better one, then I'm going to give it to you. Going once, going twice. George threw an even better one out there. All right, George, I'm going to give that one to you. What is a controls assessment? The old DICAP listed a bunch of controls that would allow you to do a controls assessment. The DICAP is now transitioned to the RMF, the risk management framework. It's essentially the same doggone process, just rebranded the risk management framework, ostensibly to place a focus or an emphasis on risk management, yet they really don't go into how you can implement risk management into the process, and don't offer any guidance really on how to do that. So it is what it is. All right, that was George for 1,000.
All right, let's do domain 4 for 1,000.
All right, big money. Don't hurt anybody, George. Domain 4 for 1,000. Correct response from George. What is dual homed? A dual home device can be a computer system with two network interface cards in it. One network or one NIC could be facing the internet, while the other NIC could be facing the LAN, and create what we call a DMZ. All right, that one was George as well. George, the board is yours.
All right, let's do domain 3 for 1,000.
That's what I'm talking about. Go for the jugular. All right, domain 3 for 1,000. Here we go. I have a correct response from Becky.
Yep.
Hold on a sec. What is a database management system? That word management implies that that's where you can create, modify, delete, or do just about anything to information within a database. All right, Becky, the board's yours. unless you're on mute.
Oh, can you hear me?
I can now. Yep.
Okay, 800 security engineering.
Security engineering, domain 3 for 800. All right, here we go. I have a misspelled yet correct response from Becky. What is a foreign key? And I kind of want to bring up, well, maybe after this session is over, if anybody wants to see an example of what a foreign key looks like, just let me know. So a foreign key would be a field or record within a table that is the primary key from another table. And we'll talk a little more about that once we get to primary key and talk about the relationship between the two. All right, Becky.
We'll go for security engineering for 600.
All right, domain 3 for 600. Here we go. And right on key, you put us right where we need to be. Correct response is from Becky, the Terminator. What is primary key? So in a database table, the records, each record, if you have a unique identifier for each record in a table, that is your primary key. And that unique identifier could be the social security number or just a random number generator, a counter from 1 to however many individuals or records that you have. So it's a unique identifier. And then if that primary key, that unique identifier, is referenced in a different table, it wouldn't be the primary key in that different table. It'd be in a different column. But because it comes from a different table, it is referred to as a foreign key in that other table. And that's how you link different tables together. One database table and another database table are linked together through foreign keys. And that's something I remember seeing, so make sure you remember that. All right, Becky, what do we got?
Okay, we're going to switch up a little bit, go back to security risk management for 1,000, 1.13.
Domain 1.13 for 1,000.
Big.
Here we go. Well, you guys are on it. Malachi, I don't know what you've been studying, man. But I hope you've been listening to the audio, because you're going to give some folks a run for their money. Correct response is from Malachi. What is a service level agreement? So an SLA is used to set the standards of service an organization expects to receive from another organization, or the set of standards that one department of an organization expects to receive from another department within the same organization. And it could be, it can include such items as response time, system utilization rates, the number of online users, available bandwidth. That's something when we implement the risk management framework and you inherit controls from another system, that other system and you should have a service level agreement that identifies which controls they satisfy on your behalf. If anybody is doing implementing risk management framework or needs to implement it, then give me a message, because that's my, I think I mentioned this before, but that's my bread and butter, risk management framework. All right, Malachi, the board's yours.
Domain 4 for 800.
Domain 4.
Thought.
I'm sorry, Becky. Let me see here. I got Becky. Becky said that one was hers.
I can test.
I see 826 Malachi, and then right after that is yours.
Well, that's kind of strange because on mine it looked different. You know, the chat it has, but that's okay. No big deal with mine.
Does it have
Come
yours
in
first?
from the chat.
Do you see Malachi?
I have the small character. I don't know. It's kind of weird. It said I have the small characters, SLA. But anyway, I don't know.
Yeah, I see that. I see
But
that.
it didn't come in?
And
Yeah.
then right before that, I see Malachi's and larger text. Does anybody else see that?
Yeah. It may be something with the program. You can look at the chat logs later. I don't know. It showed it there, but
Okay.
we were tied. Go ahead, Malachi.
Yeah, I have a confirmation from Original Brit that she sees and George.
I'll take a screenshot. I'll contest it. I'll take a screenshot.
Okay. All right. So who selected domain 4 for 800? Was that Malachi?
Yes.
All right. Here we go. Domain 4 for 800. The protest has been negated. All right. Here we go. Yeah, these firewalls, this is something I had to spend a lot of time working on. I have a couple of incorrect responses, and I have my first correct response from Becky. You got that one, doggone it. What is a stateful inspection firewall? So, well, first of all, let me give you my note on this, and then we can talk a little more about it if we need to. But stateful inspection firewalls do not examine the contents of data packets like a packet filtering firewall. Information traveling from inside the firewall to the outside. Most firewalls work by preventing stuff from outside your network getting in. But a stateful inspection firewall will examine the information from inside your network going outside. So information traveling from inside the firewall to the outside is monitored for specific defining characteristics, and then incoming information is compared to those characteristics. So a stateful inspection firewall is a second generation firewall, and it works kind of like the IDSs we talked about last week, where you put one in discovery mode and it would monitor the normal traffic that traverses the network before you put it into active mode and it starts sending alerts. All right, Becky, board is yours.
Okay, I'm going to go with, what the heck, 1,000 for identity and access management, domain 5.
Domain 5 for $1,000. All right, here we go. All right, correct response. The first one again is from Malachi. What is session hijacking? So session hijacking takes place when an attacker monitors an authorized user's activity and waits for them to establish a connection before running a program that allows the attacker to take over the session. It is what it sounds like. Malachi, the board's yours.
Domain 8 for 1,000.
All right, here we go. First correct response. George, I like your response, but I actually have spyware for this one. So that goes to Malachi. All right, the board's yours.
Domain 8 for 800.
Domain 8 for 800. All right, here we go. First correct response. Man, you guys are all over this round. Did you guys study the notes that I sent out on this one? First correct response is from George. What is a polymorphic virus? So a polymorphic virus is a virus that changes its virus signature or its footprint every time it replicates itself and infects a new file. So you can only imagine how dangerous those are. All right, George, what do we got?
All right, let's do domain 1.13 for 800.
1.13 for 800. Here we go. That is really close, George. That's not it, but that is really close. Not close again, but not quite. I'm not too familiar with the cold play attack. Has anyone else ever heard of that one? All right. Just as I was getting ready to blow this one out, we have a correct response from Malachi. What is baiting? So in a baiting attack, the attacker leaves a malware-infected CD-ROM or USB flash drive in a location sure to be found and simply waits for the victim to use the device. This is what we used to hack into Iran's centrifuge operations and blew up their centrifuges. There's also a show called oh my goodness, what is that show? Oh, it comes on USA Network. It's about a hacker, and I can't recall the name of it. Mr. Robot. Mr. Robot. They did this attack on Mr. Robot. But yeah, leave a bunch of thumb drives out in the parking lot. Somebody picks up a thumb drive and says, hey, this is something I can use for storage. As soon as you plug it into your computer, it automatically runs a file that gives the attacker access to your system. All right, that one belonged to Malachi. Stuxnet, right? That's thanks, original Brit. Stuxnet was the name of that attack against the Iranian centrifuge. They had this virus was so intricate. We had to understand their systems extremely well in order to write this code. But it would cause the centrifuges to spin faster. But the readout that the techs sitting there and looking at their computer screen to see how fast the centrifuges are spinning would show them that they're spinning normal when they were actually spinning up a lot faster and eventually exploded without them seeing any indication on the display. All right, Malachi, the board's yours.
Domain 8 for 600.
Domain 8, 600. Here we go. Yeah, you guys are all over this one. First response is from George. What is a virus? I get this question the most. I think most people that when they come to my boot camps, one of the main things they want to know is what's a virus. First, vice, what is a worm? So a virus is a software program that can only replicate itself by attaching itself to an executable file and can be spread from one computing device to another, but it has to, the key with the virus is that it can't replicate itself. It has to attach to another document, and then when that document is sent somewhere, that's how it replicates. All right. George, what do you got?
All right, let's do domain 1.12 for 800.
1.12 for 800. Here we go. You guys are all over these things. First correct response is from Becky. What is penetration testing? So with penetration testing, it kind of suggests that it goes above and beyond what vulnerability assessment or vulnerability testing does. So the next level in vulnerability assessment seeks to exploit existing vulnerabilities to determine the true nature and impact of a given vulnerability. And penetration testing has many different names: ethical hacking, tiger teaming, red teaming. All right. Becky, what do you got?
Okay, I want to go back to security engineering, 400.
Security engineering, domain 3 for 400. All right, here we go. First correct response is from Becky. What is a tuple? Anybody not heard of that before? So tuple is a record. You can call it a record. Usually in a database table, the information going from left to right is records. Information listed from top to bottom is usually attributes or information about the records. So a tuple could be called a row, could be called a record, or a tuple. All right, Becky.
Okay, I want to go into identity and access management for 800.
Domain 5 for 800. Here we go. And don't overthink this one. I kind of gave it to you. That's close, George. If I don't get anything better, I'm going to give that to you. Brute force, not necessarily. I'm going to have to give this one to Original Brit for using the exact correct terminology. Password cracking. All right.
Yay! Finally.
Yeah, this is the tough group here. So password cracking is a process of recovering passwords from data that has been stored in or transmitted by a computer system. So, guys, the whole idea of these Jeopardy rounds is, you know, everybody's out there studying different material, doing their thing. But this is a format where you can compete, and it kind of encourages you to study harder because you want to be able to compete and do well. But competition is a driving force for many of us. All right, Original Brit, what do you got?
Domain 5, 600, please.
Domain 5, 600. We've talked about this one several times throughout the first 10 rounds of Jeopardy. First correct response is from Becky. I'm going to give it to you, even though it's halfway spelled. It is close enough. The correct response is a backdoor. So again, we've talked about this one a lot, but a backdoor is a method of bypassing normal authentication, and that's the key. Bypassing normal authentication. Most software developers will develop applications, and they'll be performing maintenance on it here, on and off. And if that application has an authentication mechanism and they don't want to have to authenticate to it to do their maintenance, they usually create a backdoor. But they before they put that code out into production, they have to make sure that that backdoor has been removed. The movie War Games, if you haven't seen it, from the eyes of a cybersecurity practitioner, it's steeped in security concepts, and they actually use or discuss this one in the movie. All right, Becky, board's yours.
Yeah, it's definitely probably like with Apple and FBI. Yeah. Let's go for. Yeah, I like the comment there someone made about Apple. That's steeped in security right now, Apple and FBI. But domain 5 for 400.
Yeah, if you guys want to stay behind and talk about that, I've got some ideas on that one, about that one. Apple actually tried to give up the information first, or showed them how to get the information, and then when they messed it up, then they decided they didn't want to help them out a second time. But anyway, all right, Becky, what was your selection again?
I said, I think we were at domain 5 for 400.
Domain 5, 400. All right, here we go. Yeah, this is a tough group. First correct response is from Malachi. IP spoofing. IP spoofing refers to the creation of IP packets with a forged source IP address with the purpose of concealing the identity of the sender. I've said this a couple times already also, but me and my twin brother have spoofed each other's identity. Probably not nearly as much as we could have, but enough. All right, Malachi, what do you got?
Domain 4 for 600.
Domain 4 for 600. Communications and network security. Here we go. Third generation firewalls. First correct response is from Becky the Terminator. Application layer firewall. Application layer firewall is a third generation firewall. And they're similar to packet filters, and they can be a type of proxy firewall. But application firewalls understand various services and protocols and the commands that are used by them. And because it's a software-based firewall that understands applications, it can protect against spam and viruses, which are, of course, just little applications, so little programs themselves. All right, Becky, what do you got?
Let's go for domain 1.12, security risk management. 600.
Domain 112 to close out that selection for 600. First correct response is from Becky. What is war dialing? Again, the movie War Games. This is it's exactly what he was doing. He saw, opened up a magazine article, saw a company with a new product, saw their phone number, and dialed it to see if it was a modem, so that he could gain access to their network. All right, Terminator.
Let's go for 1.13. Close that one out.
1.13 for 600. Here we go. Somebody mentioned that. I think that was you that jumped on this one last time, George. But you have it now. The correct response is social engineering. The Jedi mind trick. You know, these droids aren't the droids you're looking for. A lot of you know, the best hackers out there, they spend a lot of time researching their targets. That TV show I was telling you about, Mr. Robot, I highly recommend it. But he spends a lot of time really getting to know the people he's trying to hack, the name of their pets, the name of their kids, their birth dates. They spend a lot of time collecting that kind of information before they even start their to implement their hack. All right, that one was for George. I think I see a comment. What do you think of CSI? You know what? Original Brit, I haven't seen. I saw a commercial about CSI Cyber the other night, and I thought I might want to check it out, but I haven't seen it yet. There's so many of those CSIs. I just haven't messed with them. But I think I want to watch that one. Yeah, Mr. Robot, I'm telling you, if you haven't seen, it's about a cybersecurity practitioner during the day who's also one of the greatest hackers in the world by night. So highly recommend it. And it's very accurate. They've got a CISSP, or several of them, on their payroll, helping to advise on that show because they get everything right. All right, that was George.
All right, let's do domain 4 for 400.
Domain 4 for 400. Static, Malachi, do we call packet filtering firewalls static firewalls? I'm not sure, but I'm going to give this one to Becky for using the exact terminology. Packet filtering. First generation firewalls are packet filtering. Data packets are analyzed and filtered based on predefined rules. All right. All right, Becky.
Okay, I'll go for 400 for domain 4.
We just did domain 4 for 400. Did it not clear out?
Okay, now it's cleared out. Okay, now it's cleared out. It wasn't when I first looked at it.
All
okay,
right.
400. All right, I'll take 400 for domain 8.
Domain 8 for 400 to close that one out. First correct response is from George. What is a worm? Key difference between a worm and a virus is a worm doesn't need to attach itself to another file in order to replicate to another computer. Make sure you remember that. All right, George, what do you got?
All right, let's do domain 4 for 200.
Domain 4 for 200. Here we go. First correct response is from Becky. I know you've seen that one before. I think we've talked about it. If it hasn't been on here, we've at least talked about it. Bastion host. You imagine turning off all the ports, protocols, and services on a new computer, shutting off all of its capabilities, and only turning on those capabilities that are necessary for the user to be able to do what they need to do. Every system should be a Bastion, in my opinion. That was domain 4 for 200 that didn't clear out. All right, it'll clear out here in just a second. Becky, The board is yours.
I'll take 200 for, okay, I'll take 20 for security engineering.
Domain 3 for 200. Here we go. You guys are all over. These are all layups for you guys. I'm telling you, if you can go through these rounds of Jeopardy and it's like a layup where you're slam dunking these layups, the folks who do well on Jeopardy in my classes always pass the game or pass the exam. So that was Malachi. Data about data, metadata. I know the NSA would like for us to believe that just by collecting metadata is not a very serious thing. But let me tell you, you give me an automated audit log tool, and I'll collect some metadata that will help me tell me more about you than you know about yourself. All right, and the last one, domain 5, identity and access management for 200. Here we go. Last one. Correct response is from Becky. What are emanations? All right.
Yay.
So every electrical device emits, you send a pulse of energy through a wire, it's going to emit that signal a certain radius from the cable. And you can get a device close enough to it to be able to pick up that signal's emanations, and they can collect all of your information. All right, guys, I want to thank you guys for participating. Let me bring up my website again. I'm very happy to have just finished all the stuff on the website. I can tell you, I worked 5 years to finish the course material for the 10 domain format, and a month or two, literally a month or two after finishing that, we went to the 8 domain formats. Took me about 6 months to get everything converted over, but it's finally there. For those of you who don't know about the audio, I highly recommend it. Go to CISSP audio episodes. All the course material is there, so you can listen to these when you're commuting to and from work. And you can also purchase. I just got a new company that's printing the books for me, and they don't look like those bounded PowerPoint spreadsheets anymore. It looks like an actual book. It's really nice looking. And Original Brit purchased one, so she'll get hers, if not late next week, then early the following week. But again, thanks everybody. If anybody wants to hang behind for some discussion, by all means, I'll be on for about another 15 minutes. For everyone else, I'll catch you next week. All right, guys. Take care.
Who was that?
I know. Somebody had their the kids in the background getting educated. So how you doing, Becky?
Pretty good. I'm